2020 electronic meeting of the City of Ann Arbor Building Board of Appeals. Can we have a roll call?
I think we'll let this opportunity go with the folks on the Zoom to introduce yourself. We've got Catherine.
Hi, I'm Catherine.
How do I make it louder? Let me see.
You're fine.
My name is Fred Zwas.
Hi, we're just going to take the roll call of the board members right now, and since you're a guest, we'll invite you later. So we got Catherine, we got Bob Hart, we got Jeff.
You make it louder.
How do I make it louder? Let's see.
Got Hugh.
Yes, ma'am.
We've got Mike Redmond, Bruce Carson.
Nobody here.
I'm here.
Chris McFarland,
Here.
Mark Howell.
Present.
Where's our other staff person?
Can you make it louder?
Mike Lemieux.
1 second.
Mike Lemieux, is he on?
I'm here.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 1 second, Judy.
I do believe we have a quorum. And ready to get started.
So after roll call, the first item on the agenda is introduction of new board members, Bruce Carson and Catherine Rabasar. Pronounced right?
It is. I just recently got married, so my name is now Cousin.
Okay.
Congrats. Congrats.
Thank you.
Also, Paul, if we, Jeff Perkins, this will be his first board meeting also.
Okay.
Condolences.
I think since we have so many new board members and existing board members that have been on the board for a while, maybe it would be good to give a little introduction of each person, what their kind of background is. So I can start that. I'm Paul Darling. I am an architect by training, and I have a background in historic preservation, and I also have a forensic architect background. So I currently work for the university. And I've been on the board, I think, over 20 years now. So I've been on the board a while.
Oh.
Okay, Catherine.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I am an attorney for the city of Detroit. I've been an attorney for 5 years. My background is in litigation, and I work in the Freedom of Information Act section currently. And I also have a background in property management. I have a property in Ferndale, Michigan that I manage.
Okay, Bob.
In spite of the screen name there, I am Bob Hart. Been an architect for 45 years and retired just this past year.
Ooh.
And I think I've been on the board now for possibly 13 years. And the practice that I was engaged in was a general one, covering all different aspects of architectural design.
All right. And that takes us to Jeff.
I'm Jeff Perkins. I own Perkins Construction in Ann Arbor. We've been around for about 36 years. I have chaired a task force for the Home Builders Association dealing with problems with the City of Ann Arbor Building Department going back to probably about 2000, when we were involved in a lawsuit with the city over building permit fees. And then through chairing the task force, I met Glenn several years ago, and he's been a very welcome member of our group, and he asked me to serve on this board. And I got put on in June, and this is my first meeting. So it's been a pretty easy stint here at the Building Review Board. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Hugh?
Hugh Flack, I moved to Ann Arbor in 2011 and I saw a sorrowful article in the paper saying that the Board of Appeals didn't have enough people to be a quorum if one person was sick. So I thought, what the heck, I would volunteer. I've been retired for about a year now. I spent over 30 years in industry working primarily in health, safety, environment, and regulatory affairs. And enjoy the meetings, and you're right, they don't happen that frequently anymore.
Okay. Let's see, going next one, Bruce.
Hi, I'm Bruce Carson. I've lived here in the city for about 35 years. I've been a plumbing contractor. I'm now retired and was asked to be on the board by one of the plumbing inspectors. So here I am.
All right. I think that takes care of the board members.
Okay.
And on to new business.
So first item on new business is election of a chair of the Building Board of Appeals. So I guess we're looking for nominations. Is that what we're looking for, Deborah?
Yeah. We'll take nominations from the floor for chair.
All right, Paul. I nominate Paul Darling. Only, I mean, on the basis that he's been on the board at this, he's the senior member. And he's filled in for the previous chair on numerous occasions and was, very well suited for the job.
All right. Any other nominees? If not, we close the nominations and we ask for a motion to appoint Paul Darling as the chair of the Building Board of Appeals.
So
I
moved.
motion that we appoint Paul as chairman.
Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Take a vote.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Okay.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a gavel handy, Paul?
Well, I was knocking my desk here. Oh, my mouse. Let's see. The first item or the second item is approve the agenda. Anyone to move to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda's been approved. So approval of minutes, a question, Deborah, is that it looks like that's already gone to the city. The last meeting was in June of 2019. Has that already gone to the?
No, it has not gone to council yet because we haven't
Okay.
met.
Okay, so we still need to look at that and approve that then?
Correct.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on the minutes from last June?
No.
They were attached to the packet there. If not, can we have a motion to approve those?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The minutes are approved from the June 20th, 2019 meeting. Next item is appeals, actions, and show cause hearings. And before we introduce the first appeal, I would like to talk a little bit about the format for how this is going to work. We'll have the applicant give a brief summary of what his request is. And then we'll ask for a staff report from the city. And then we'll have board discussion to the applicant. And then we'll have board discussion internally and a motion from that. And then we'll take our vote. So I would like to point out the board can't waive any code sections, but we could rule on the findings that the true intent of the code is not being interpreted correctly, that the provision of the code doesn't apply, or that an equal or better form of construction is being proposed. So those are the three vehicles that we have to grant a variance. So in your summary of what you're requesting, if you could comment which one of those paths you're requesting, it would be helpful. So the first appeal for today is BBA A20-002 at 1101 South University Avenue, Ann Arbor, Michigan 48104. Let's see. And do we have someone here to speak on that?
Yeah, this is Brad Moore with J. Bradley Moore and Associates Architects. We're the architects for the owner of the 1101 building. When this building,
hey, Brad.
Yeah,
Brad, let me give some of the background history first, if you don't mind. I think that'll be helpful. My name is Sean Havera. I'm with Liberty Realty Partners. We are the owner's representative for the owner at 1101 South University, as well as we represent the owner at 1107 South University, which is the adjacent property in which this is connecting to. Back when we did the development for what's called the Vic Village North building, we had worked with the owner at 1101 to come up with a solution that would allow what we saw as not a great way to treat trash, which was being placed in front of the building, having to be pulled to the curb. And so obviously in other locations and things, we try to work with the adjacent neighbors to come up with solutions that will help beautify and keep the streetscape area clean. And that was why we came up with the solution of allowing for a connection from 1101 back to our building to utilize a shared trash service that we have back there for all of our retail and residential tenants within our building. So that was how these came about. We have a number of easements in place that address that have been recorded. As Brad said, they are the architects. So I'm going to, at this point, hand it over to Brad because obviously I'm not an architect. I don't deal in the code stuff. I just try to build the buildings at times. So Brad, with that, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Yeah, thanks. So as Sean was stating, both the projects that we're that are germane to our discussion, my project at 1101 and the project that was built around the 1101 building, the student-focused residential high-rise with first-floor retail, the city, as well as the neighbor, wanted to make sure that they didn't have unsightly or impractical things at the street level. And the neighbor was gracious enough to work with us. So as part of our approved site plan, we were required to not have trash in the public right of way for our building, not have bike lockers, et cetera, et cetera. Since our building occupies 100% of the site, the only way to do that is to do that behind the high rise in the alley. And the direction or the service corridor to permit that to happen was part of the construction of the high rise. That work was permitted and is completed. So a door exists in their wall on the property line, and a service corridor exists going back to the alley. My client's construction of her project was delayed, and she wants to move forward at this time, which would mean the proposed installation of the opening in the wall of the 1101 building that lines up with the current door in the wall of the high-rise building. In speaking with Glenn on another project with a similar set of circumstances, he indicated that he wanted us to proceed with an appeal because the code doesn't permit openings on walls on property lines. So what we've done is we've proposed that in both walls, both the existing wall of the high-rise building and our wall, we install opening protectives that are the equal of the rating of the wall. Typically, opening protectives would be allowed a reduced rating from the wall if they're installed. But since we're on the property line here, we're proposing that the opening protectives are equal to the walls. So we would be installing a 2-hour rated overhead fire shutter in our wall on the property line. Further, we're proposing that a localized audible alarm would be installed on the door that is part of the high rise, so that if that door were left unlatched for more than 5 minutes, the local alarm would sound. The feeling being that with those two protectives in place that are equal to the wall, we have provided a separation that is equal to what's required by code. Further, we propose to put a deluge sprinkler system in the interstitial space between the two firewalls, so that in the event that one of the opening protectives was not completely shut and any fire were to find its way between the two buildings, it would be extinguished there by the deluge firehead. So we believe we've met the requirement of the code by providing something that is equal or better than the code requirements, still protects life safety. That is not a required means of egress exit that we're installing between the buildings. It's simply for the movement of people and trash back and forth. The 1101 building has all the required emergency egress exits it needs directly onto the public right-of-way.
Okay, thank you. Any more comments from the applicant? Can we get a report from the city?
Yeah, what Brad Morris just went over is pretty much would take care of the issues of fire safety, I believe. While it doesn't meet the code requirement exactly, it's possible that it does meet the equivalency or better. Staff will neither deny or approve either way. I believe that's something that the board can decide on.
Thank you. Fire Marshal, have any comment, concern?
I agree with Glenn Dempsey on that. Just leave it up to the board.
I included in the application, but didn't in my narrative, that both buildings have fire sprinklers.
Okay. Any applicants from the board or any questions from the board to the applicant?
I have a few questions. Brad, do the opening protectives all belong to 1101?
No, the wall of the existing high-rise, which is on their side of the property line, contains the 3-hour door and frame assembly. So that's part of the high-rise construction. Okay. And then we would be installing the 2-hour rolling overhead fire shutter in the opening we would create in our wall.
Okay.
So we have back-to-back protectives, just like we have back-to-back fire-rated walls.
Okay. The deluge system would belong to 1101?
Say that again? Yes, the deluge system would come off 1101, correct.
Come off 1101, okay. Is there a reason why you just have the alarm notification system as a local situation, as a local, alarm, as opposed to having it connected to, the broader alarm system?
Yeah, well, the thinking was that there will be times when the personnel from the 1101 tenant space, which is a coffee shop, will be opening that door and having a couple 3-4 bags of trash to get through that door, and we just want to make sure that the staff is aware that they have to shut that door behind them, not just leave it open as they go down the hallway, as opposed to having that alarm system go off in the high rise and create unnecessary alarm with all the residential tenants in the high rise.
Okay. And is the deluge system connected to the 1101 sprinkler system alarm?
Yes.
Okay. And then my last question is, Glenn, are there any dead-end issues associated with the service card or common path of travel or anything like that? Although you said it wasn't required as a service, as an egress corridor?
It is not for our building.
Okay.
But that service corridor has two means of exit. One is directly to the alley outside, and the other is to the lobby of the Collegian. So there are two means of egress from that service corridor.
Okay. Okay.
Brad, is the mechanism for the fire shutter a fusible link?
Yes.
And which side, will there be fusible links on both sides? Or do you just need it on one side?
We would just need it on our side, so it would deploy if there was a fire on our side of the wall. The door and frame assembly on the other side, or on the wall that's adjacent to our wall, would protect us from a fire from the opposite direction.
Okay. And as long as you don't paint the fusible link, life will be good.
There'll be clear signage to that effect.
Oh, good.
Do these type of roller shutters require annual inspections?
They do.
And does the city fire department look at those and gets copies of those?
I would defer to the fire marshal. I believe that's true, but not having been a fire marshal in Ann Arbor, I'm going to defer to Mr. Redmond.
That particular location, because it has first floor retail, our inspectors would be inspecting there, and that would be part of the inspection. Besides fire doors, they look at roll down fire doors, which of course would go along with the fusible links and the replacement of them, the yearly maintenance of them.
Mm-hmm. And as part of that maintenance, they test them to make sure that they do function.
Correct. They should have a private fire protection firm or company coming out. They should be testing the doors. Usually they'll actually put the door through the motion and replace the links.
Mm-hmm.
And just from experience, typically when we have our fire alarm inspections within buildings, we maintain that report. Typically, I don't, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think those reports go to you, do they?
The fire marshal office?
Yeah.
They sometimes, depending on which company does it, they may send them to us, and then we're also part of IROL. So, but we don't make it mandatory in the city to be part of IROL, but a lot of companies that do will send reports through IROL to us. So it all depends on which company you utilize for the service.
Okay.
And would there be some type of signage on the door itself to say the alarm's going to go after 5 minutes? So there's some signage notification of that?
Absolutely, both sides of the door.
Okay.
We also our tenants that are on the 1107 side, we have tenants that come and go through that back area quite often. And, we have very obviously good relationships with our tenants. So we'll note it to them. And a lot of times there's even self-policing, if you will, of things. They keep eyes on stuff. So if they see a door open, they'll have the tendency to go ahead and shut it when they know that it's not supposed to be open. So we also inform our tenants so they keep eyes on it as well.
So is this door going to be locked all the time, or can people from the high rise use this door to get into the retail space?
No. So the way that our building is set up is that that corridor serves as a corridor for our retail tenants on that first floor. The residential tenants do not have access through into that space. Okay. We obviously would work with the 1101 owner in how that door is specifically handled, because more or less it's their door just on our side from an access standpoint. So we would work with them on how do they want it locked, how do they want to handle that. Those would be things we would work with them, but our tenants would not go through those doors.
Okay. So there would be like a passage lock on that. You would need a key to get through that from the other side, or is it normally would be unlocked all the time?
So I imagine,
I think-
I imagine for security of the tenant, there will be a keying system, whether it's a physical key or an RF fob. It just, they'll have to work it out between the two property owners. But yeah, we don't want it to be unlocked so that anybody can get into the coffee shop from the neighboring building.
Yeah.
What I could foresee happening is working with her to actually add that door onto our security system, because those tenants will need card access to get into the trash room, as well as to that door when they're coming from the exterior of the alley into that corridor. So it may make the most sense to work with her to just add a electronic strike onto our system. Either way, it'll be locked in some form or manner.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions by the board? Not, we have somebody willing to make a motion.
I'll make the motion. In the matter of BBA 20-002 at 1101 South University, I move to approve relief from section 705 and table 705.8, allowing an opening in the fire-rated wall of 1101 South University for access to garbage collection, bike lockers, electrical transformers, and stormwater detention. This motion is made within the board's authority to approve and/or deny on the basis that an equal or better form of construction is proposed as follows. A, the provision of a deluge sprinkler system between the buildings connected to the 1101 suppression system. B, a 3-hour fire-rated door assembly equipped with a local alarm notification. C, an overhead 2-hour rated automatic fire shutter that will be annually tested and inspected. And D, appropriate signage that will be posted describing operation of the opening protectives. Further to this motion, the specific condition claimed by the applicant and owners that justifies the variance would be considered neither general nor recurrent in nature and not be considered a precedent for future similar appeals.
Thanks. Any board comment on the motion? I would friendly amend that we include that that it's not a required means of egress with this door.
Okay.
And I wanted to confirm with Glenn, 705 versus 706. 705 is party wall, where 706 is or 706 is party wall versus 705 is exterior wall. Does it make a difference? It seems like we're on a party wall more than really an exterior wall application where we're right on the property line with two buildings.
Well, that it really wouldn't be a party wall, it'd be an exterior wall, I believe. Under 705.
Okay. So we have a motion. We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Seeing none, looks like it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is appeal, right page here. (20-1207) BBA 20A20-003 at 543 Church Street, Ann Arbor, Michigan 48104. Do we have an applicant here to speak to that appeal?
Hi, yeah, we have a couple people. My name is Pete Kaplan. I am the president of Parking Management for
Can't hear you, Steve.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Better.
I'm not muted.
No, you're fine now.
Oh, okay, sorry. You had me scared. I had the wrong button pushed. I'm a newbie at this stuff. So my name is Steve Kaplan. I'm the president of Varsity Management, the company that manages this property. We have the owners, Fred and Judy Zwas, also on the call, and we have the architect for this renovation, Leo Babcock. I'm going to start off with just a quick ditty to kind of get our frame of mind started, and then going to defer to Leo to answer detailed questions. I just want to thank you all for taking the time to hear us. First, wanted to say we didn't set out to contradict this code, and we would have, if at all possible, built to the written requirements. We were forced by multiple factors: the structural elements of the building, confusion, and the time crunches brought on by the pandemic. Most importantly, our convictions of what creates the safest, most usable living environment possible. It's this last issue I want to go into a little bit. There will be plenty of detail to follow regarding the building structure, space constraints, limitations of our other code compliant options. First, I think it's important to state some generalities. The 2 units involved in this appeal, if they were standalone houses like hundreds of others in Ann Arbor student housing stock, would not be before this board. The stairs, as they are currently built, meet the code requirements set forth for residential stairs, which are overwhelmingly the majority of stairs that any Ann Arbor resident would encounter living here. If the premise of any stair code is for purposes of safety and user consistency, then we feel this code, in our case, becomes counterproductive here. The dimensions considered safest per building code for the use in over 90% of the residential stairs in the city are what we currently have installed. The safety of consistency, of not surprising the user of a stairway with dimensions subtly different from their expectations, is best met by the stairs as they are currently installed. We're not sure why there's an alternate code for residential stairs merely because they exist in a commercial building. The resulting dimensions are neither consistent with commercial stairs or residential stairs and just add ambiguity to the user's experience of any built environment. We explored every other option we could envision that would bring these stairs into compliance with this alternate code for residential units located within a commercial building. Not one of them can be executed without reducing, in our minds, the overall safety or usability of the units. Number one, we looked at spiral stairs. Spiral stairs, though code compliant, are objectively less safe than normal code compliant residential stairs. They're additionally impossible to implement in our structure because the width of the smallest spiral staircase we can find is still wider than the stairwell opening in our units. This opening is flanked on each side by steel I-beams that are part of the original structure of the building and hold the 2 stories of building that are on top of these units. Descending from grade level with the alternate code stair dimensions, this approach leaves us 1 tread short of floor level in the basement. An additional platform to meet the stair deprives us of the necessary ceiling height in the basement to meet a different code. So we merely trade 1 code violation for a worse one. Adding 1 more tread to the stair to get to the floor leaves us too little space for a landing at the bottom, and expanding that landing in either unit requires the removal of an original load-bearing wall in the structure. It's been asked why we chose to finalize our current configuration rather than wait for decision by this board. We have tenants scheduled to move in 3 days from now. There was time to complete what we started, but not enough time to rebuild anything else. Further, we just strongly feel that the current configuration is the safest approach we can build. I'm going to pass this on now to Leo Babcock, the architect, but thank you for your consideration in advance.
All right. Yeah, I just would like to touch on a couple of things that Steve mentioned, and primarily in terms of the board and your review and your consideration. I understand there are 3 criteria you really look at, and I believe that we fall under the first one, the true intent of the code. And so what the variance that we're seeking, or the reinterpretation, if you will, has to do with the building code that allows for an exception of units, residential units within, say, a multifamily unit, a multifamily building like a townhouse. And the exception is to make the stair more compatible, more similar, more what people are accustomed to in a single family home with a separate riser and tread ratio. And given said that, our particular unit, like a 2-story unit within this multifamily building, the interpretation, the way I see it and the way we've discussed it briefly, is that the intent of the code is to allow that exception within that particular unit, not the whole building, not the exit stairs, but the intent is to have that unit as a single family unit, which essentially it is 5 bedrooms, even though they're students, it may not be, traditional families, but the intent is that's a single family unit within this larger structure. So our belief is that that portion of the code needs some reinterpretation on your part, because it really does address the intent of the code to have that staircase considered a single family unit stair within that dwelling unit. So that's sort of our request in terms of this board appeal. And I don't want to get into a lot of the background, but just real briefly, as Steve mentioned, this building was built in 1964, and some of the original drawings we had were inconsistent with what was built, which is often the case, as I'm sure you're aware of. And upon demolition and right before construction, we discovered things like a steel beam parallel to a concrete plank, which is unusual, but was definitely put there for a reason. We explored the possibility of seeing really where that loading came from, but in a 3-story building, there's so much tear out involved, and just for the investigation to see if it's even feasible, and also the 2 bearing walls, which limited the length of the stair, similarly were not quite consistent with what we thought. Those put a lot of different constraints on how we had to fit the stair in. So a decision was made on site to build a staircase, which we believe is in the intent of that exception, to build a staircase that meets the 1 and 2 family code, the residential code, within that dwelling unit. That's why we're sort of at this junction today, and given such delays with shutdown and other issues, we're time consideration, which Steve mentioned also, it seemed to be the best decision to go ahead and put something in, and then see what we can discuss and request your reinterpretation of that code section.
Thank you. Staff report?
So this project was originally approved. It had all the correct information and to meet the building code. This is an R2 building. It's an apartment building, and it goes into the building code. This staircase we're talking about is a new staircase. It was put in place to add a residential, or I believe a bedroom in the lower level, at which one time was a laundry room, basement laundry room type of setup. In the code, it says that it's supposed to meet a 7-11 requirement, but gives an exception to residential units in the commercial building code for these R2 type of units to meet, gives them an exception to allow a 10-inch run and a 7 3/4-inch rise. We believe, and why we were recommending denial, is because we do not believe the 8 1/4, 9-inch is equivalent or better than the 7 or the 10 and 7 3/4-inch rise and run. While it's residential, when you're in these apartment buildings, you get used to a certain gate, and the 8 1/4, 9, we felt wasn't equivalent. So that's our report.
Thank you. Fire Marshal, any concern?
No, not this time. I'll do with the building department.
Thank you. Staff discussion? Questions to the applicant?
Leo, could you explain what's happening on the upper level of these new duplex apartments?
Sure. What we call the upper level is really the main level of the building. You enter grade level, and it was a typical apartment. You enter through the doorway off the hallway. There's a kitchen, there's a living area, and there's 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. We capture that space on the lower level, which was brought up. Part of it was the laundry and some other miscellaneous spaces. We created a new staircase from the upper to the lower. That staircase happens to be close to the main entry door and also to the kitchen. And at the new renovated lower level, where we have the staircase, we have an additional door out to the hallway where the fire stair is and the laundry area.
Okay, so the upper level of these apartments have access to a hall, an egress hall, and a stair.
Correct. We do have some diagrams in 3-dimensional, if that's helpful. I don't know if we could upload those at this time, or they were in a packet, I believe.
Can you share your screen, Deborah?
Pardon me?
The images of these stairs?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
I was asking
Share
Deborah
my screen.
if she can share a screen that has those images you prepared.
Let's see.
I think
I'm not sure
Deborah's
if
going to that. I think she only has one permission to share.
Oh, yes, permission to do. I'm not sure I have the ability right now. Is that possible? The staff have that?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be helpful if you could.
Second question is, so all the lower level bedrooms have egress windows and wells?
Absolutely.
Now, do they front on a public way?
No, they're on an alley, sort of a side, almost an alleyway, walkway between a parking structure.
Okay. I'm looking at your sections. Is there anything like to keep people from falling into them?
Into the wells?
Yeah.
Yes, there's covering and screening. I don't believe we have a photo of that.
Sorry, I'm having trouble sharing. 1 second.
You and me both, I know. I know the feeling.
Okay, that's good.
Almost.
Okay.
And a lot for 1101.
That's the exterior. Code section. Yep. Stair. All right.
That one?
These are the upper level of the 2 units looking down. You see the staircases. We do have some sections showing the stair too, if that's helpful. But you can see it's right by the entrance door, that to 1.
Yeah, he keeps going down there.
And here's a cross section. And you'll see the one in red, and this particular section shows the stair that's put in the yellowish color. That's with the residential code rise and run, the 9-inch and 8.75, I believe it is 8.25. And in red is the how the exception of the code would be laid out, given that particular rise and run ratio.
That's the 10 7.75?
Correct.
7.75, okay.
And that's a similar thing in the other apartment. They're sort of mirror image.
What is the basement ceiling height?
Let's
6?
see. I would have to get back to you for a minute on that, but
One of your comments, your notes here says you don't have enough ceiling height to put a bottom landing in there, and that's, you can usually have 1 step and still.
no, we could You're absolutely right. We have room for a landing. However, there's a steel I-beam that comes right at the corner edge of the landing, and that's where we lose the headroom.
Just
So the
one
ceiling height is fine.
Is that what you're saying? The last 2 inches or something?
Yeah, yeah,
So the I-beam is below the height of the floor elevation there. Okay.
correct.
Are you working? You're going to turn 90 degrees to that, though, aren't you? Though, or are you going to?
Yes, there's 90 degrees, and that's where the steel beam
Okay.
came into play.
Mm-hmm. And the width of the stair is 3 feet wide.
It's 3'6",
So you have
42
extra,
inches.
you have extra width, yeah. And this is not a required means of egress because there's not other stairs in the building that got you to the basement before?
It is not a required means of egress, no.
So actually, if you could hold that photo for a second. Glenn, are handrails required on both sides?
I believe so.
Okay, if you come down to the next photo, maybe it's the one after that.
That's it. Maybe it was
That's it?
before.
Oh, maybe it was before then. Yeah, there we go. So I only see one handrail, and that one is stopping short of the bottom.
Yeah, I'm not sure if everything has been installed yet, or I'd have to check on that in terms of the extension of the handrail.
I can tell you, sorry, this is Steve. I took these pictures during the installation process. So the railing installation was incomplete at the point that I took this photo yesterday.
Okay, so there will be handrails on both sides of these stairs.
Yes.
Okay.
Who would be using these stairs? Is the only person in the basement bedroom would be the only person using it? The laundry is somewhere else now?
Yeah, the laundry is a public laundry for the entire building, so that's in the hallway. It has nothing to do with this apartment. So it's only the 2 people or the 3 bedrooms in the lower level. I think one is 2 and one is 3 bedrooms. So it's just those 2 occupants.
That is correct.
What is the actual rise and run that you end up with? We've talked about what the code requires, which code requires what, but what you actually end up with?
What actually you see in this diagram, what was built here, is a 9-inch tread and 8 1/4 inch riser height.
Pretty steep.
Thank you.
So the bottom of that steel beam is at 60, 80 inches off the floor. The bottom of the steel beam you need to cross underneath is at 80 inches?
It's 81 3/4.
Okay.
So with putting another riser there doesn't help us, but yeah, it's slightly over 80 inches.
And the floor to floor height is, I guess it's gonna be a multiple 8 1/4 then, huh?
Yeah.
I think the section showed 7'6".
Floor to finish ceiling.
Well, it
Floor to
was
ceiling.
floor to ceiling.
Floor to floor height is 99 inches, so. So 8'3".
So is there another stair for the people in the building who used to get to the basement? They get to the laundry room? There's another
Yes.
stair in the building?
Yep. There's a standard stair tower at either end of the hallway, and these are completely separate, just private stairs within the unit.
So if I might add, there is an exception for a single handrail on that stairway, as long as it's inside the unit. On one side only.
But they're planning to put them in on both sides.
I would have to double check that. I don't know off the top of my head, but.
Any other pictures you want me to keep sharing?
Doing a great job scrolling.
Deborah,
Stop on this one for a second.
Okay.
There you can see, it's sort of, there's a red arrow vertically at the staircase. And then above that red arrow, you see a gray line across. That's the steel beam we encountered. What originally we had a landing heading, perpendicular to the stair. But that's how the redesign of this came about.
You don't know what the steel beam carries. You don't know if you can put a post there at the bottom of the stair.
No, that's what, we started to look into it, and one thing led to another, and just so much demolition to see what was really above coming down on it. Because it happens to be at the basement level,
This is a 3B building, wood framed?
No, it's concrete floor structure, and masonry bearing walls.
And the flexicor
with some steel beam.
Parallel to the C beams, it looks like, right? You took one plank out or plank and a half out?
Correct. We took 2 planks. They're 2-foot wide planks.
Uh-huh.
We took 2 planks out. And you can see in the lighter, almost wood color, because of that, we filled in a wood landing at the top of the stair, because that's where the plank went all the way across.
It looks like on page 40, it looks like you're limiting that bottom landing because there's a existing door there, right? Is that true? Can we move that door to have more landing space?
Which page are you looking at?
40. The image on page 40. Right there, yeah. So this
originally we had the door at a higher level because of the landing. The landing extended into the bedroom. So, yeah. Once the stair was reworked, they didn't see the need to raise the door, obviously.
Deborah, would you be able to scroll to the floor plan, please?
That one? No.
Next one, right there. So Leo, could you explain, because the PDF that I have is so blurry that I can't read anything.
Yeah, that is difficult to read.
So I'm having a hard time understanding how these units lay out. Could you walk us through what this is?
Okay. I guess to walk it through, let's go to the upper level first. So there'd be the next sheet up, if you would, Deborah. Oh,
Yeah, I
no,
didn't
I'm sorry,
have-
the other direction. Sheet down. No.
That's the reason why I have such a hard time understanding,
Oh.
because there was only one floor plan.
Ah.
And I can't see
That's-
both levels.
That's exactly right.
Aha. Well, that's understandable. I can see your confusion.
Yep, that's all we got.
Yeah, I can try my best to describe it if that's helpful at this point, but I'm not sure how, it doesn't give you a visual, that's for sure.
Is there something you can send me now and I can share?
Yeah, if you can give me a moment, I actually have it on my different computer and I can email that over. It'll take, if you can take a break or speak to someone else, I'll step out for a moment and do that. Is that agreeable, or would you rather may stay here?
You can go ahead and send it.
All right, I'll be a few minutes then. Thanks.
I'm going to stop sharing for right now so I can look for the email to come in.
Okay.
Glenn, while they're doing that, could I ask you a little bit about procedure, since I'm new to this process? One of my concerns was the way in which a lot of this information, particularly on this one submission, got trickled to us over time. And the number of times I had to go back to this thing and relook at it. What is there a deadline? What is the deadline for applications to come into to get on this agenda?
So let me go and give that to you, and then I'll go through some other information. I did not get a chance to send it off to you, but anyways, the deadline is 2 weeks prior to, on a Tuesday, we start putting a staff report together, and our attempt is always to get it to you as soon as possible. We usually get it to you on a Thursday or Friday. With that being said, this is our first Zoom meeting, and your concerns, you have a legitimate concern. We don't like to continually send things back over. We felt it was a little bit easier than sharing, but there's a way that we can do it in a process going forward so that you don't have to review the whole packet again. We'll put something together that'll give you a highlight of what we're sending over to add, so that we don't get into this problem of screen sharing like we are right now. But that would be the process. And like I said, this is our first, actually our first BBA Zoom meeting, and I'm hoping that down the road we'll be able to go back to a normal meeting. It'd be nice to see you all in a room where we can chat, but you know, we are where we are because of the public service.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was the end of the day yesterday and I was already irritable. And so when I sent that email out, it was just frustration over the fact that as the material kept trickling in, I thought, what's going to show up next? And I kept waiting for the second floor plan to arrive, and so that I could understand this thing. So I don't mean to be criticizing you. I was just trying to understand the process. And I think going forward, it sounds like you've got it figured out.
I think we do. I wanted to give the best options to the applicants that they could provide you with what they could. That's why we send them over. I didn't realize we were going to get a couple of these, to be honest, but we'll handle it in a different way so that you don't have to go through the whole packet again.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, well, just sent that.
I do have it up as well, Deborah, if it's easier for me to share.
Yeah, I don't know that externals can share. It's a city Zoom. I'm refreshing my inbox because I haven't gotten it yet.
Let me check.
Here we go. All right, it's coming.
Okay, good. I thought I hit send.
Well, yes and no. There we go. Okay, here. Okay.
Deborah, we also, I just realized that we have David on also.
Yeah, he said he has no sound though. All right, can everyone see now?
Yes.
Okay, so you see the main staircase there where the exit is, then there's a general hallway, the doorway, and then right as you enter from the general staircase into the hallway, there's two doors into the separate units, B and C, and as you go into those, with the clouded areas, that's where the new stairs occur. At unit B, you enter right at the doorway, enter C, closer towards the kitchen. They're sort of reversed. And I can explain further if you go to the lower unit, or if there's questions on this, I'm happy to entertain that. Yeah, this is the blurry one, I guess, but
yeah.
If we can rotate it possibly, the same orientation. That's it, yes. So that's that same staircase, the general staircase, of which the laundry room is to the left. And as you go from the staircase into a shared small hallway, then you have the clouded areas where you see the new stairs coming down from the upper units. So there's 2 bedrooms in the unit to the left, 2 new bedrooms, and on the right there's 3 bedrooms.
Could you hold on that for a second? So the unit that's on the screen on the right side, that exits directly to the stair?
No, it's a little difficult to see. There's a doorway, and then there's a sort of a very small shared hallway, and then the stair.
Okay, so there's like a little vestibule.
Yeah, it's below. You can't even see the door.
Okay, okay.
Yep, like a little vestibule, yes.
Okay.
So there's 3 bedrooms already here served by these stairways at the lower level. They go up that stairway.
Correct.
More than I was anticipating. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I may have misspoke because there's 2 on the one side, but there's an additional 3rd. So yes, 3 for each unit. So each stair has 3 new occupants accessing it.
So if I understand this correctly, if you come down, let's take the stairs to the right. Deborah has it oriented right now. So you come down those stairs from the unit above, and it has a bathroom immediately to the right, then a bedroom, it looks like bedroom 3. And then above that, 2 bedrooms, looks like with a shared bathroom.
Yep.
So for those people that would be living in those bedrooms, their means of egress is either up that stairs, or their second means of egress is out that doorway going to the public stair.
That's right.
All right. So basically, okay. So then let's take that little kind of anti-vestibule kind of thing that goes into to get to the public stair. Then what is that door going into what looks to me like the other unit?
Like, let's see, right where the clouds start on the other side of the stair.
See where it says siren?
Yep. There's a door that leads to sort of a common area, almost a hallway. There's some storage cabinets and things like that. It's sort of and then you've got the 1 bedroom to the left, and then below the screen, there's 2 additional bedrooms and 2 more baths. So there's 3 baths, 3 bedrooms.
But that where it says bedroom 4 and bedroom 5, those bedrooms belong to the unit that's on the left-hand side.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a little confusing because they swap over a bit. Yep.
Yeah.
So their primary means of egress then are up that new stair or into that ante room where it says siren.
Yes, that's correct. And well, they also have the egress windows, but yes, those are the 2 main ways of egress from these bedrooms.
So what is the security then between these 2 apartments?
Well, there's a concrete wall, and then there's another wall which is a fire rated wall where we built the new stair.
Right, but what if you leave that door open where it says siren?
Yeah.
Okay, those 2 units are completely communicable with one another.
Well, it's like a door to a hallway upstairs. It's like a hallway door, entrance door.
Well, I think what was said before is that right to the right of where it says siren, there's a door there, isn't there?
Yes, just beyond the stair. Yeah.
It's not showing up in your drawing, or at least
this PDF is hard to read for some reason, but yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Swing. Yeah. Okay.
I see it now.
Yeah, it's somehow blurry there, but yes, there's a door. So it's like a mini hallway, and their entrance doors to the units, essentially. So the security shouldn't be an issue.
I can say, I don't think the board, as being on the board, we've never granted a variance to use residential code in a commercial building. We've never, looked at that.
Oh, I understand. And it wasn't our intent to go that route. But as I said, when I realized what the criteria of the board is in terms of what they can consider, and just I see it as the interpretation of this. The interpretation of this is it's a single family unit essentially within a multifamily building. And because they granted that exception for the less stringent stair ratio, I would think that intent could be interpreted to be used here.
I mean, they already have an option to use a higher rise and run in defined as R2 in the commercial code, and that they were accommodating that to some extent.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I agree. I think, and that's the intent, to accommodate that. Yeah.
You're going beyond that, though. You're having a shorter tread.
Well, we're going, beyond to match what the residential code is. Yep.
Yeah.
So my first meeting again, Paul. Just give me some guidance then if there's the appropriate time for comments or feedback after questions are asked.
Yeah, the board can have a discussion, motion and discussion among the board members without the applicant. And we can, we can ask the applicant additional questions, but there's a dialogue discussion between board members about the, application.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the common stair opening. That meets the commercial code in this?
Correct.
Okay. So the two stairways we're talking about are within the units. They're just
exactly
accommodating the residents, the
Yep.
occupants. Okay.
One's for the 3 new residents and the new bedrooms downstairs in each unit.
Gotcha. This is a sprinkled building too, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I haven't looked at that in a while, but yeah.
And the 2 new stairways you want to put in, are they wood frame? Are they, what kind of?
They're wood frame, yes.
I couldn't point out too that, the applicant has, depending on the outcome of this appeal, the applicant does have the right to appeal any decision by the local board to the state. I think you have so many days to do that, 60 days, so many days from, depending on what our action is.
10 days, Paul. You have 10 days.
10 days? Okay.
10 days.
Does that steel beam continue with in the masonry wall below that beam too? Your sketch shows that steel beam even continues in the wall past the bottom of the landing of the length of the stair. Is that true?
Yes, it goes along the length from there's you can see a thicker concrete wall goes from that to that.
Yeah. It seemed like if you went to straight going straight, did that help you make the opening instead of being 29 degrees? If the stair went straight, did it help you at all to get that last step? And
Yeah, we just don't have the width with the landings. Yeah.
You wouldn't have a landing there; you would go straight.
Well, I mean even if it's at the same floor level, the width, the 3-foot minimum width.
You're saying it was 90 inches below that, or it was 6'8" below that steel beam. So your 3 foot can go through the thickness of the wall, hit the wall out the other way.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I follow, but.
So just scroll down and back to the rendering, I guess you had of the stairway. Let's see, is it down? I guess it's the other presentation was it's. Here we go. Let's see. Like in the plan here, right now, the stairs to the bottom turn 90 degrees and go out. If you continue going straight, you could take that block wall out or whatever below the steel beam, and your landing can basically use that thickness of the wall to have the right round stair, at least on the one unit.
Right.
Unit.
Yeah, and we sort of touched on that briefly, but that's where we involved a number of tear out and figuring what was going to be feasible, given the loads above and things.
That's a pretty smart.
But you're right, that would allow more room if that was a possibility.
Yeah, but you have the steel beam there, so the steel beam's probably doing the work. Leave the steel beam there. You're just taking out the block.
Yeah, but right, the steel beam in question is one that's parallel to the stair.
But you wouldn't go underneath that one anymore.
Not if you didn't have a landing, correct?
I mean, it messes with that bedroom door there a little bit. You have to shift that door in, another couple inches. But your stairway, which is 3.5 foot wide, and you need to have a 3 foot stairway. So maybe you balance those two things out. Any other discussion by the board or questions by the board?
I'll stop sharing then.
Okay. We have a motion by anyone on the board?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. So I just want to clarify one thing for the new folks, that for the longest time, we were instructed that if you make a motion, it has to be in the affirmative, in spite of what you might see in our packet. So even though that may be a little counterintuitive at times, is that is correct? Yes. Deborah?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I wish we had Kristen on. But...
Yeah, do you recall that was the case?
That was a practice. We've done that, and then we just vote, appropriately based on how it's worded.
Okay. So to that end, I mean, when I make this motion, it will be in the affirmative, whether it's whether you agree with it or not. I will say this. One thing that did put me off on this particular matter was the fact that the appeal indicated that they were waiting on the result of the appeal to go forward. And we're being presented with a fait accompli as far as these two stairs being built. And I personally have a real problem with that sort of thing, because there might have been other measures that might have been introduced to ameliorate the stair situation. So I just want to put that out there, that it's irritating at best that the applicant comes in with something that's done, and we're basically having to deal with that aspect of it. So to that end, I'm going to go ahead with a motion. In the matter of BBA 20-003 at 543 Church Street, I move to approve the following variance at 543 Church Street, Ann Arbor, Michigan, for new stairs located within a dwelling. This motion is made within the board's limitations of authority to approve and/or deny on the basis that an equivalent form of construction or safety provision is proposed as follows. The proposed 42-inch wide stairs with handrails on each side with a 9-inch tread and an 8¼ riser function primarily as communicating stairs strictly within each of the single apartment units, and as such meet at least the requirements for stair design under the 2015 Michigan Residential Code. That was point A. Point B, the limitations imposed for code compliance are the result of practical/technical difficulties due to structural interferences that are infeasible to correct even with alternative stair configurations. And C, that 2 alternative means of egress are provided on each apartment level to existing common building stairs/hallways and through egress windows from each habitable room on each apartment level. Further to this motion, the specific condition claimed by the applicant and owners that justifies the variance would be considered neither general nor recurrent in nature and are not to be considered precedent for future similar appeals.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you. Any discussion among the board? Okay, ready for a motion? Ready for a vote? Those in favor, say aye.
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 Those against, say aye.
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 So that's 3 and 4 that we have. Were you able to get the vote there, Deborah?
I don't think David can hear us to vote.
Can you raise his hand? Do we see him? We can only have a picture of him or no? Let's see.
His picture is there.
Okay, can you raise his hand? Can he hear us to vote?
He said he's got his sound all the way up and he can't hear us. And
Okay. All right.
unfortunately, I don't see a chat here.
Okay.
Hold on. David.
Tap on the screen, wake him up.
Yeah. So what is the percentage we need to pass, Deborah? I know it had to be a majority, or it had to be.
It's I believe it's a majority.
So that's.
So I think we've got that. Let's see, we've got 2 nays.
3 nays, I thought.
Who's the other? I got Catherine and Jeff. Who's the other?
Yeah.
And Paul? Okay.
Yeah. And the favor or Robert. I didn't see their other ones.
Can you ask for a count again, please?
You want a roll call vote?
You can do a roll call vote. Yes, please. Catherine?
Oh, nay.
Bob?
Yes.
Jeff?
No.
You?
Yes.
David, we can't see. Person?
Yes.
3 yes, 2 no.
Well,
I get to vote, right?
Paul didn't, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul.
I voted no.
Dead even, we need David.
David now looks like he's unmuted. But
He is
still can't hear.
unmuted.
Can he click the raise his hand?
Well, can you put a chat question in? I guess it could be a question too. Could do that too.
We have a chat.
Okay.
I'm going to send him an email.
Okay.
Well, the other question would be if he could hear what was going on during the discussion.
You'd be able to participate in the discussion, I guess. Yeah, it would be.
Right. Text message was sent. You could probably watch us on CTN because we are live.
Yeah.
I'll send them that too.
Brutal.
Okay, I got a response. He says he will vote. We let him know when the voting is taking place. Told him we were deadlocked and need his vote. His movement, I think he's typing. He voted yes.
Okay. So that means we have 4-3 majority. Like the motion passes. Okay, thank you.
Great, well, thank you. The nail biter down to the end there.
It was, yeah. Okay, that's the end of new business. There are no other appeals or actions that are show cause. Old business, there's nothing listed there. Anybody have old business on the board you want to bring up? Any public commentary?
No, just thanks again for your time and consideration today. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Paul, can you stay on for just a moment?
Sure.
Thank you, everybody.
We have an motion to adjourn for everybody else.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. 3:01.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Glenn, you're going to have to call Paul separately because I'm ending the meeting altogether.